Playing the Radical Latino Show.
Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands in the air for New York's very own.
Radical Latino is taking you to another level.
Yo! What up, my people? Welcome back to another episode of the Radical Latino Show. It's your host, the Radical Latino. What is poppin', my people? I hope everybody's having a great week. Everybody's having a great Monday. Everybody's having a great, beautiful day. Now, I want to give a huge apologies to all the listeners, because usually on Saturdays I do a live stream. This Saturday I didn't. I was kind of busy. Always, I was running around, taking care of things. So my apologies on that. But but by this week, I definitely, in the middle of the week, or maybe in the beginning, I'm definitely gonna do one. You know what I'm saying? Hopefully Monday, maybe Monday I'll do one. Monday night. So just stay tuned on my Instagram and Twitter to see if I'm gonna do one. You know what I'm saying? I want to give a huge shout out to all the new listeners. I want to give a huge shout out to all my new followers. Shout out to you guys. Without y'all, this wouldn't be possible. You know what I'm saying? Also, oh damn, got choked up. All the new listeners. You know what I'm saying? Got choked up. Also, I want to give a huge shout out to Melanated Night. Shout out to you, homie. Some of the people are finding my phone number, which I've always posted on the description, and people are calling me. Some people are leaving voicemails. Some people are calling me and I just pick up randomly. So you guys could definitely do that. So shout out to you, homie. Hope everything is well. You and your Latin shorty. You know what I'm saying? So I want to give a huge shout out to all my listeners. Remember, if you guys want to contribute to the podcast, leave a comment, rate this podcast on Apple and Google. You know what I'm saying? But if you want to contribute monetarily, you could go to my website, radicallatino.com, and you guys will see a donate button. Contribute anything is really up to you guys. Also, if you want to cash at me something, $ Radical Latino. You know what I'm saying? Support the podcast if you like, what you hear, if you like everything that I bring you. You know what I'm saying? I've raised some money from the donations. Again, nobody's telling me or emailing me any place to donate to, so I kind of made a decision already. I'm gonna donate to the Red Cross. No, let me stop. No, I'm gonna donate to to I forgot the name. I feel like something justice. Living something justice. I actually interviewed them a while back, but I'm gonna be donated to them. So just pay attention to my Instagram and all that. So you guys can actually see what I gave. But that's why I'm Discovery for Justice. There it goes. See, my brain be all over the place. But I'm gonna be donating to Discovery for Justice. I interviewed them before, and they're basically a non-profit organization that's in New York that's trying to take away the blindfold law. For those who don't know what the blindfold law is, basically before you go to trial, the blindfold law in New York and some other states in the country make it a possibility where the prosecution don't have to tell you what they have. They don't have to, give evidence or share any witnesses or anything that they have against you in a case until it goes to trial. You know what I'm saying? So you could literally be sitting in jail not knowing what the prosecution has against you. You know what I'm saying? So that's what they're trying to get rid of. And I'm going to donate in a couple of days. Based on the donations I've been getting, I'm going to be donating to them. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to everybody. Now, moving forward, I know there's been a lot of talks during this week about certain things that's happening in the news, And I'm basically going to tackle that on a live. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to wait through a whole week to just, talk about it. I'm going to tackle that on the live or whatever. So just pay attention to that. But moving forward, now this interview I had with the beautiful, the gorgeous, the magnificent, the very entertaining Viva by Xtina. And she's a YouTuber, Dominican YouTuber, who not only gives her makeup advice and how to do certain looks, but she also gives her hot takes. And she has a very interesting way and perspective on viewing things. So that's the reason why I got her on the podcast. So there's gonna be another voice and all that. So I hope you guys enjoyed the interview. I hope you guys like the interview, and I'm going to catch you guys in a few. I have a very, very, very special, some people might say very beautiful guest. And Viva Xtina, what is going on? What's up?
Hey. Thanks for having me on your channel.
Yeah, not a problem. So, I got Viva Xtina. I'm gonna call her Christina. That's her, her name. So I'm gonna refer to her as Christina. But her YouTube channel is Viva Xtina, right? And the
VivaBella by Xtina.
Yeah, VivaBella. I'm sorry. VivaBella by Xtina. See, she corrected me already. Now, the reason why I have her here is because she, is part of the YouTube community who interacts with almost everybody I've interviewed. Not only that, they also interact with me. And, we talk here and there. And I was like, you know what? Let me just interview her to actually get to know her a little bit more, because I don't really know her like that. You know what I'm saying? So that's the main reason why I got her here. So, Christina, what's up? How you doing?
I'm doing okay. Chilling here at home with my girls, the usual Saturday routine.
That's what's up. Saturday or any weekend is always good for family time.
Yeah.
What was it? So tell us a little bit about yourself.
What do you want to know?
Anything you want. How was Valentine's Day for you?
It's another day. I really do much.
There's no Viva Bello around?
There needs to be.
Oh, for real? Oh, you single?
There needs to be one. Yeah.
You're single? Oh, fellas out there, remember, she has an Instagram, so if you're interested,
oh, Lord.
Just pull up,
Oh my God.
But no, just tell us a little bit about yourself. So you're Dominican, correct?
Yes.
Not
Dominican
Haitian?
American, I guess, if you want to be technical.
Not Haitian?
No, not Haitian. Even though I know some people out there like to call me like Diana and shit, but no, I'm
this
not
is going to be a very Haitian episode. No, so you're Dominican American, and how do you feel about being Dominican American, which is not white, here in the United States, trying to do what you got to do, and trying to also pursue a beauty YouTube channel. How have you found that to be? Is it easy lane? Is it hard?
Okay, so I started my channel. A lot of people know I started it like specifically as a makeup tutorial channel. So the point at which my channel kind of changed was when I first uploaded my ancestry DNA results videos. So everybody out there knows the Dominican DNA videos, they get a lot of views. It's usually like a lot of craziness in the comments. So I think that was what like really brought a lot of traffic to my channel. And then from there, I started just like little by little doing like non-makeup videos where I would like talk about stuff or talk about Dominican culture or stuff like that. So I noticed very early on, let's put it this way. So I feel like I have a few things that have worked against me, okay? And some may say they didn't work in my favor, but one, being Dominican, okay, that's the first strike. Being a dark-skinned Dominican, okay, and being a woman, because by being a woman, then people want to, like when they're throwing shots at you, they want to bring up sexual shit and all that stuff, okay? So I say being a Dominican was the first strike against me because you already know people have a lot of opinions when it comes to Dominicans.
Yes, I
People think
do.
that we're all
Yes, I do. Look at my
racist. They
look
think we're all anti-black.
look at my
We
comment section.
deny,
Yeah.
we deny our African ancestry and all that. And so on top of that, being a darker skinned Dominican, it's like I feel like people are even extra critical because they're expecting, again, even more that you're going to deny that aspect of yourself or that you're going to kiss white people's ass and stuff like that. So I experienced in the beginning some of these Dominican trolls online saying that I was, an Afrocentric and blah, blah, blah. Now, mind you, I'm not even like super pro black, or I don't even know how you would call it, but I don't be on that, like, I don't talk about just blackness all the time. Like, I've always tried to maintain it
Yeah.
pretty balanced. But
Yeah.
even still, it was like the mere fact that I don't shy away from talking about our African ancestry had certain Dominicans looking at me a certain type of way. Okay.
That's very
But
interesting. But continue.
Yeah. So, like I said, I had the trolls coming at me, but then I think the more like open-minded, rational Dominicans saw where I was coming from, and so they've been cool. So that has kind of been like, I guess what I had to kind of get through at first. I had to get through the, I don't know, the muddy waters, and just me, my block list right now. Let me tell you,
That's wild.
my block game is strong right now. I had to weed all the ignorance out,
Oh,
and yeah, so.
you had to block that clone account.
Oh my God. They probably still out there too. When I saw that, I was like, hold up. Because I noticed them on Barani Moon's channel. I was like, hold up, why is my picture? Like, I got mad confused for a second. Like, wait who is this person? Then I read the name and I was like, wow.
You know what?
Okay.
It's probably gonna happen to me. I haven't seen it. It's probably gonna happen. Nope. Mentioning it now, somebody's probably gonna do the same thing. You know what I'm saying? But it is what it is, though. So
yeah.
now you mentioned something very interesting. You said that you don't shy away from Dominicans' African roots. Now let me ask you something. As a Latina, what do you identify as? Do you identify as black, native, white? What do you identify as?
Well, so the reality of it is I am a mixed race person. Like, that's literally what I am. However, growing up in the United States, growing up where you've always had to check a box, I've always checked black. That is why, like, on the census, on any form I've had to fill out, I've always checked black. Now, with that, there has always been a little bit of confusion because on some forms, they would say black, but not of Hispanic origin,
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
And sometimes they would not have the Hispanic / Latino ethnicity box. So there's been instances where I was confused on what to check. But if it didn't have the Hispanic thing, it was like, well, process of elimination. I'm not going to check white.
Yeah.
I'm not Native American or Asian, so I'm going to check black because look at me, Yeah. I look like, or I could pass for any African American, really. So
even some boxes have Hispanic or Latino like excluded. They excluded from the race thing. They have it as ethnicity, which is
right.
Something that they automatically put down anyway. But then they will go on and in the bottom it'll say race, and then they'll have a whole bunch of definitions or whatever the case is. But all right, so why do you think Dominicans deny their African ancestry? Because I found that extremely interesting when I started talking about certain things or mentioning certain things or a certain individual that I'm not going to bring up. I tell them or talk about them, and I get a whole slew of comments saying that there's nothing African about us or whatever the case is. So why do you think Dominicans tend to deny their African ancestry?
Yeah, I figured you was going to ask me that. Well, I don't believe that like all or even most. I don't think most Dominicans deny it, but for those that do, I actually made a video about this. But I think there is a historical slash psychological reason for that, and I have come to that conclusion just from as like the more history I've learned. I think it most definitely goes back to slavery. And I think it goes back to just what happened economically while Santo Domingo was still a colony. So I made a video, some people saw it, called The Deracialized Conscience of Dominicans, right? And in that video, I talked about how at one point, the economy of Santo Domingo had basically plummeted. So most of the people were living in poverty, right? So it got to a point where the Europeans in Santo Domingo, they couldn't afford to continue to bring in slaves. So because of that, and also like a lot of the white people like left. So they had that on top of the fact that the economy was bad. Everyone was basically poor, and the Europeans, they couldn't afford to even own many slaves like per person. So because of that, since the plantation system was pretty much like broken, that is what led the colony to turn into more of a cattle ranching society, right? And with that economic shift, it also created a shift in the race relations between whites and blacks, to where it became more of almost like a familial relationship between the slave and the master. Okay, so total contrast to what was happening, say, on the French side in Haiti. So I think because of that, that made it easier for the black person in Santo Domingo to take on the identity of their master, because there wasn't so much of a resistance towards the white people. Okay, now this was, of course, a little later on, because in the early history, that wasn't the case. I mean, the first slave rebellion in Española happened on the Spanish side, but this was like maybe, I guess you could say maybe 200 years later.
Yeah.
When it got to that point.
Also, on top of that, like for people to be clear, what the Spanish did was something very strategic. They started actually claiming their offspring that they had with the slave women as their own, and they started to classify all slew of different racial classification, mestizo, this, that, the other, and the thing is, some of these racial classifications actually started getting some benefits, meaning that they would be the overseers for the slaves. And I believe that mentality still carries on to this day, where some Dominicans don't see themselves as black or don't see themselves as having African ancestries. They will always claim that European Spaniard part of their lineage, and I think it goes deep into like the part of their confusion. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's multiple factors. I mean, also, you have to take into account like the actual racial components, where like the mixed race free people of color, that class of people also grew rapidly as well, and a lot of them were free. So it got to a point where like basically to call oneself black, or just that word, became associated with being a slave. And eventually the slave population, that they actually became a minority. And like I mentioned in my video, there was a term called whites of the land. And a lot of times it was like mixed people of color that were calling themselves that. So, I feel like it's a lot of like social factors that kind of played into why your average, person of color in the Spanish side took on that Spanish identity. Because, I mean, at the end of the day, that also gave them some privilege, you were able to socially climb a little more by taking on that identity. And so I think that all of that has kind of contributed to, this still going on today.
Okay.
And I sometimes I wonder if Dominicans, like, if they have like a complex or something, because I mean, the reality is, out of all the Spanish-speaking countries, DR has the most African ancestry, like percentage-wise, like overall.
Yeah.
Okay, we are some people might not like to hear, but we are the blackest, like Spanish-speaking Latin country. So I think with that, it comes even more of a feeling like we have to try and prove that we're not black. Like, we're not black. And granted, I mean, not all Dominicans are black. So, I mean, in that aspect, that's why I don't say that DR is a black country, because the reality is that we're not all black.
Yeah. Now,
but
it's
go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. You said, but what?
I lost my train of thought now.
You said, no,
go ahead.
No, you were saying that we're all Dominicans are not black, but
there are a lot of black Dominicans, and that's just the reality. Gotcha. And I mean,
now it's really interesting, because now let me ask you, what do you consider someone of Latin descent or ethnicity to be black? Is it just skin color? Is it the amount of genetics, African genetics inside their system? What do you consider? Do you go by the one drop rule? What do you consider to be black?
See, well, I don't one drop rule people into blackness. That's one thing I don't do. Like, if you don't look black, if the world doesn't view you as black, if you don't experience what black people experience, I'm not calling you black. But see, I feel like even with that, there's no definite line. I mean, I think it is a combination of your genetics as well as how you look. But I feel like let me
throw you a curveball. Antonio Batista, do you see him as black?
I mean,
let's be honest now. Let's be honest.
I wouldn't consider him black, but I think his blackness is written all over his face. Like, there's just no escaping that. Like, I'm sorry. I mean, some people may consider him white because, genetically he is predominantly European descent, but those black genes run real strong. Yeah. That's one.
Now the thing is, what about Dominican Renaissance? Do you consider him black?
Lord, put me on the spot.
I just gotta ask these questions.
I mean, phenotypically, yes. I mean, he is also predominantly African descent. So, I mean, I think he could...
using your logic, he would be black.
I mean, he could say he's mixed if he wants. Technically he's mixed, but...
Well, no, he calls himself Spanish. He calls himself white, so it doesn't really matter. No, the reason why is because, for our light-skinned Latin people, right? Like Antonio Batista, I'm gonna just use him as an example. Even though phenotypically he is nowhere near Anglo, but his skin color says otherwise. His eye color says otherwise. You know what I'm saying? So because his eye and skin color are of the dominant society, do you really think it's fair to still classify him or us view him as white, even though we know that he might not experience the same benefits that the majority of white people get?
That's a good question. See, I don't know, because even though he is predominantly European or whatever, I can't say that I view him as a white man. Like, to me, I don't know, I would feel more comfortable saying he's saying that he's mixed, I guess.
Yeah.
But I can't say that I could look at him and be like, oh, that's a white man right there. Because, again, his features say otherwise.
Now, if he came out, using your logic, if he came out saying that he's black, would you still see him sideways, be like, wait a minute, your facial features say that, but your skin color says different?
A little bit.
Gotcha.
That's why I feel like it's complicated, because I don't know. It's again a combination of your phenotype. I mean, it's a combination of your different features. I mean, like, even with me, like, I get conflicting comments from people, because people take a look at me and be like, well, your skin is dark, but your features, they look different. So some people I think most people, they look at me like, yeah, you're a black girl, I guess. But then others like, no, you look mixed. Like, you look like just like a dark skinned mulata or whatever. So I don't know. It's complicated.
Yeah. So to you, what do you think the percentage of blackness you should have to be considered black? Like let me ask you, what percentage of African descent do you have?
Well, according to all the DNA stuff that I've done, they all fall between like the 50 to 52%. So basically, like literally half.
Okay.
I'm half African descent.
Okay, half. So if somebody has 40-something%, would they still be considered, in your logic, in your views, would they still be considered black?
What's the thing? Even my logic, I'm not like solid on it. Because again, it's hard to say, because there are some people, they may not, I don't know, if their African genes are strong enough, they may come out just looking black, like, even though genetically they're not.
Because this is my thing. I have some family members who, they've taken the genealogy thing or whatever the case is. They straight up and down look like Antonio. Straight up and down. White skin, blue eyes, but phenotypically, they don't look Anglo whatsoever. They got the kinky hair. You know what I'm saying? And when they take the genealogy test, they'll anywhere between 60 to maybe 55% European. And the rest is indigenous and African and all that other stuff, right? So to me, the way I see it is, you're not 100% European. So to me, you're black regardless, And I do have that conversation with some of my family members, of how you, differentiate, or how do you like label certain, how you label yourself, you know what I mean? And that's the thing that I do have, and that's the main reason why. Not the main reason, but I wanted to at least tackle it, a little bit, because I did show your video, your video, to some of my family members, right? And there was one that they like, at least 3 of them was like, okay, I agree, but also I disagree. Was it top 25 something? It was something like that. And you went through 25 things that you're tired about. You know what I'm saying? And
top 25 things I'm tired about?
It was something about top 25 something. You just went down the whole list, right? And I think, was it number something? You said white.
Oh, was it my unpopular opinions video?
Yeah, I think it was.
Oh, okay.
And then I think they said, I think you said number something, white Latinos claiming that they're black. Right? That you're tired about that and all this other stuff. So I started laughing my ass off, and I was like, you know what? I should just mention that. Let me just mention that. So that's the reason why I wanted to ask that. Because it's, it is, I believe, living in the system of white supremacy, there is a confusion amongst Latin people. There is a confusion of classification among Latin people. Black people have no confusion whatsoever. They know exactly where they stand, and they know exactly where they're at, because they've been repeatedly told this day in and day out, day in, day out, day in, day out. Latin people are always on the fence and skirt certain things. You know what I'm saying? And I've seen certain Latin people, get treated the same as black folks, dark or light, living where I live at, in the Bronx. So I've never saw anything past that. I've never seen something like, all right, you're not Anglo enough. You know what I'm saying? You're not white enough. So to me, I'm like, shit, you're black too. You know what I mean?
Gotcha. So you're looking at it also from like like their experience, like they're still experiencing the black experience, even though they're technically not black, especially here in this country. Is that more like how you look at it?
Not about technically not being black, because they're not more melanated than most black or dark Latin people. They still experience the same things that those people experience due to the system of white supremacy, because the way I see it is that white supremacists all see us the same, no matter what, especially in New York. If you look at the statistic of stop and frisk, Latin people were getting stopped. dark or light. You know what I'm saying? So they didn't differentiate. What they saw was, oh, non-white person, let me stop them. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I'm going at. Do you agree or disagree?
Okay. No, I get that point. So anyone who isn't like American white, standard white, you just lump them into the black category?
No. Anybody that is light, and you can actually trace back saying that they have a certain percentage of black and or indigenous genes inside of them, I will consider non-white based on, since we live in America, I would consider non-white.
Okay.
Do you think that's a wrong assessment?
I mean, I see where you're coming from, but so how do you feel about people just identifying as mixed?
Well, mixed is not a race the way I see it, because when you're, government form, job form, there's no mix, there's just one box, which is a lot of people who say we shouldn't be having, but I'm not going to be here talking about that. Mix is not a race. Mix, I feel like it's a cop-out for certain people because they know they're mixed with a bunch of things, so they don't want to feel disrespectful to their certain half or whatever the case is when the majority of you looks one way. You know what I'm saying? Like there's a lot of biracial people who come out, who have a white mom or white dad, and a black mom or black dad, you know what I'm saying? And they come out looking black, but yet they're out here calling themselves mixed. I'm like, no, you look black. You know what I'm saying? Somebody else from the dominant society won't see you as different. They won't see you as mixed until you tell them something. You know what I mean? They're gonna see you as black. So that's why I'm saying, like white people are the ultimate factor of identification, and they told us what black is based on that rule that they made as a one drop rule. So I'm gonna just go by what they told us. You know what I'm saying?
But so at one point though, do you stop going by what they told you?
I'm sorry, what?
But at what point do you stop going by what white people told you and do your own thing? Personally, I don't see nothing wrong with a biracial person identifying as mixed. I mean, I don't necessarily see that as a cop-out because, that's literally what they are. But I also think, if they look black, you should know that that's how you're being perceived by the world. So I feel like that's like two things you kind of have to be aware of.
Yeah.
And I've said this before, even on my channel, I acknowledge that I am mixed. I have African ancestry, I have European ancestry, and I have Native American ancestry. However, as much as I say that I am mixed, I am aware of how I look.
Yeah.
And I know that most people perceive me as black. So I think you just have to have that awareness, I guess.
Gotcha. Yeah. Gotcha. Now, what was it? Did you ask me a question? You said, when would I stop going by what white people?
Yeah, going by what what the white man tells you.
What the white the thing is, since we live in a system of white supremacy, they are the ones who label things. We have to have more of a sense of pride with ourselves to actually go against that. Apparently, unfortunately, these people, regardless if they go by their rules or not, they're still going to subjugate us based on their perception of us. So they can they claim Latin people as white all day long, but guess what? They still treat us as non-white people. So it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, that's true.
It doesn't really matter what I'm going to keep on following what they say or follow what they say. Their actions show me otherwise. The only thing I'm going to go by is what I want to empower myself and what I should be labeling myself as. And I've always said that Latin people should be their own race and should be labeled and classified as their own race. Either way, that race is still going to be non-white. you know, and I gave my opinion on what that race should be, you know what I'm, or how it should quantify, you know what I'm saying? But that's my answer to that question. Now,
Okay.
so I want to ask you, damn, what was I gonna ask you? Okay, I was gonna ask you, I've seen some of your interviews on other people's channels, right? And some of your you know, collabs with other people's channels and stuff like that. And there was a comment, something, not a common theme, but certain comments that I've read that I was like, I don't see it that way. What are your thoughts on certain people telling you that you are fence sitting with certain people who think opposite of you, or fence sitting on certain people who have different political opinions of you?
Yeah, so I have received, like you said, those type of comments because particularly like lighter skinned people that people saw me collabing with, and I guess they felt some type of way about those people, and so they felt a type of way about me collabing with those people. Is that what you're getting at?
Yeah, pretty much.
Like that's what you're asking me? Okay, yeah.
Pretty
So,
much.
see, I like some of these, well, one of them in particular, like I've spoken to a lot outside of YouTube, so I feel like I've gotten a pretty, you know, decent, I guess, understanding of who they are. At least I feel that I have. So, like, I know that they can come off a certain type of way online, but I guess I have felt that they're not what these people say. So, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if that's me just, what's the word? I don't know. Like, you know, I'm the type of person, I like to try and see the good in people. And if I feel that you're not a bad person, or I don't think that you're racist, then I don't have a problem, like, collabing with you and, you know, doing videos with you or whatever. But I don't know. I mean, people are going to have their opinions regardless, but I don't know. And then there's another person more recently, she's probably listening, that people have been giving me some shit for because I'm cool with her. And I'm like, I don't see what y'all see. But I don't know. I mean, if I'm like cool with you and I'm collabing with you, it's because I think that you're a cool person. Like I don't see you as racist or all this other stuff.
The thing that I was reading was the fact that you claim to be neutral, but yet you don't either check what these people's ideology is about, or you don't check these people. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah.
So what are your thoughts on those type of comments?
Yeah, I mean, so I do try. You know, I try to be open-minded. I try to look at things from multiple sides, and so when I present a lot of my videos, I try to come from a non-biased or somewhat neutral point of view. So I think because of that, brings a lot of different opinions onto my channel sometimes. And I know this. Look, I know some people comment stuff that I see it and I'm just like, what the fuck? And I don't necessarily check them because, again, I'm trying to maintain this neutral stance. But, you know, I can see, though, where some people are like, okay, you should have checked this Bama right here, this one over there. Like, I mean, I get it. I do.
Gotcha.
But I guess because, you know, I don't want to seem too one-sided, and, you know, I do want to be open with everyone, and I want people to feel like people of different backgrounds feeling comfortable to be on my channel. That's why sometimes I don't interject as much as I should.
So let me ask you then, what are your thoughts on the current political climate now? Are you a Trump supporter? Are you mostly Democratic?
To be honest, I'm not really into politics. I'm definitely not a Trump supporter. I guess you could say I've usually kind of leaned more Democrat, but these days I'm just like, man, I don't know. I don't think either of these parties is really doing much. So I don't know. Again, I don't really follow politics like that. I feel like at the end of the day, these people at the top are going to do what they want to do anyway.
Got it.
So I don't know.
Gotcha. Now, so like you said in the beginning, you started this whole YouTube thing with beauty and makeup. What made you start going to YouTube and actually, pursuing this beauty, YouTube channel?
So to be honest, before I started my channel, I was never on YouTube. Like, I didn't realize how serious YouTube was. Like, I would only come to YouTube for music videos. I was like it. But I had already been like doing makeup looks and posting them on Instagram. And then I started doing like little 1-minute video tutorials. And so some of my friends were like, yo, you should like make a makeup channel because that's like the thing to do. And a lot of these makeup artists and stuff, they've gotten like really big and, they get sponsored and get sent free makeup, blah, blah, blah. So I was like, all right, I'll try it. And that's basically how I started.
Gotcha. Have you ever thought about like, I don't know, having your own makeup line?
I mean, the idea has crossed my mind, but I would have no idea how to even start that. I don't know. I'd have to have like a really big following or something, and I don't know, some way to the finances for one to even start that.
What would you call it though?
Oh my gosh, I don't know.
Like
I have no idea.
Viva Your Beauty or something like that.
Oh, Viva Your Beauty. Interesting.
I know.
I don't know.
Look at that.
Giving me ideas.
This comes pouring out. What was I gonna say? So, I've seen some of your other videos where you've done things about Latin American music, and you've even broke it down to the point where you said that some of the Dominican music that that's very either popular or old school in Dominican Republic come from an African influence. Can you give us more insight on that?
So are you referring to the one I just did on Palo? Are you talking about that one?
I believe that one, yeah.
Yeah, well, that one, I mean, Palo music is straight up like an African influence music. I think all Dominican music has African influence in it, some more than others, but Palo most definitely is undoubtedly an African influence solid music. So, when I see people say that the African influence in Dominican culture is so like minimal, I'm like, are we listening to the same music? Because like I'm confused. What do you mean?
Yeah.
I feel like, just like people, I know that, DR, Puerto Rico, Cuba, they identify more with the rest of Latin America, but at the same time, we're still geographically in the Caribbean. So being Caribbean, there's going to be a big African presence in everything. So, and especially in the music, in music, the dance, I feel like that's where you see most of that African influence. And, we're not exempt from that. So I'm like, it's most definitely there. Just compare Caribbean music or Dominican music to like, I don't know, Mexican music, or some of these other music. Like there's a big difference.
Yeah. Why?
Because of that African influence.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's what makes our music lit. Like I've said that so many times, like that's what sets our music apart. Yeah. So why people try to minimize it? I don't know. I'm like, our music does not sound European. I don't know people.
I'm telling you, like Dominicans could make anything into a song. Have you seen that?
Anything.
Have you seen that was it Dembo? Have you seen that new one about the coronavirus?
They made one about the coronavirus?
Yes, there's this dude.
Lord.
Yes, there's this dude that made this Dominican guy that made a song about the coronavirus. He's like, corona, 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 corona.
Oh my God.
Cuídate que anda por ahí, coronavirus. Cuídate que anda por ahí, coronavirus. Cuídate que anda por ahí, coronavirus. Corona, 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 coronavirus. Corona, corona.
I'm not gonna lie, the shit slaps.
Oh my gosh.
I'm not gonna lie. It's gonna make me want to go to China and get that shit. But no,
Wow.
yeah, I'm telling you, Dominicans can make a song about anything.
No, you're right about that. You're right. They'll say the dumbest thing or literally mumble throughout a whole song.
Yeah, what was the? It was out. I was so young. Was it back in the day?
El
Like
mudo?
the vaca. Ooh.
Oh,
la
that
vaca,
too.
oh
Yeah.
My.
La vaca, mu, la vaca, mu, la vaca, mu, la misma vaca, mu.
Yeah.
My
Yo,
God.
literally anything, and that shit will be bumping everywhere in DR. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
remember when the Cablevision shit was in reggaeton. Remember that music video? They used to play that shit. I swear to God, that do you remember that one?
Wait, which one?
The reggaeton one of Cablevision, like what was it? I forgot how it went, but it was like they were talking about the triple play plan or whatever the case is, but it was a reggaeton version of it.
Mi gente, Optimal Triple Play is in the house. I.O. Digital cable. Watch a lot of channels whenever you're able. HD is free. Let me put it on the table for $29.95. You can design the label.
877-393-4448.
Oh, I don't remember that.
It was a commercial, but anyway, the shit was so fucking popular. I swear to God, I heard it in a club before. And I'm like, are you serious?
Wow.
Are you fucking serious? Yeah, I'm telling you, yo, shout out to my Dominicans, yo. I'm Haitian, so I gotta say shout out to my Dominicans. No,
Right. Yeah, radical Haitian.
yeah. Well, you know what I'm saying. I couldn't deny my roots. I had to, I couldn't lie to the people. I had to come out. I got exposed and all
Saw
that.
right through you.
Yeah, they saw exactly right through me. You know what I'm saying? But
Oh my gosh.
what is your overall message on your channel? Since you do two things. You talk about political things, but also you talk you also do things about like beauty and healthness. What is your overall message on your channel?
That's a good question. I feel like I have such a variety of stuff right now. I don't even know if there is just one message. But I mean, I definitely feel like my channel has kind of taken like a cultural exploration type of turn. Again, like doing all these different like music, of the Americas videos, and even looking into like certain like subcultures within Latin America. I've noticed like I really like that type of stuff. Like I like learning about different cultures and different music and different groups of people. So I don't know. I like doing that. But I don't know as far as like an actual message. I guess I don't know. Just being open to seeing other groups of people and exploring other cultures, and I don't know, because I feel like people are just so prone to like hating on other people on YouTube, and I just try to be open with everyone, and so I hope that I project that through the videos that I make, and I let it be known, like, we don't have to be beefing with this group and that group. Like, it's okay for us to be cool, like, especially when it comes to like African Americans, for example. That was another big thing I noticed very early on YouTube, this whole Dominican versus African American beef. And I was just like, yo, that's not my life. I don't got an issue with Black people. So again, just being open,
Gotcha.
open to seeing other sides and other cultures.
Gotcha. Now, to be honest, I saw your Dominican blog since you went to Dominican Republic, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they're very interesting. They're very interesting, even though they're like, 15 to 30 minutes long. Still very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Why did you want to record and vlog certain parts of Dominican Republic?
Well, I feel like there's so much like misconceptions sometimes about DR. And so I wanted to just show those different sides. Like I wanted to show the capital and show how, you know, the very more modern sides of it. You know, a lot of the capital is quite developed and it's nice, but I also wanted to show, you know, the campo, the poor side. So I wanted people to be able to see all of it. I mean, well, I did go to a few different places this time, but yeah, I mean, I feel like there's so much like diversity in landscape, even like, or the diversity of the people. And I just wanted to show like this is what the art is, you know, like there's no need to be speculating. Like I'm showing you, you know, this is how the people are, and you know, I just wanted to show it. I was like excited to do it because I've never gone there with the intention of vlogging because of course I didn't have a channel before. But you know, I thought it would be something really fun to do just to show people that have never been to DR what it's like.
Now, what are the most popular comments that you get about DR that you wanted to shatter with that vlog? Because I was reading some of the comments and they were talking about nationalism in DR, and mind you, I got family in Dominican Republic, and I asked them about nationalism, and they don't know what I'm talking about. You know, Did you also find that same thing when you went to DR?
To be honest, nobody in my family talks about that, here or there. There's only one uncle of mine that is very much into like politics and all that, but I think he's low-key communist. I don't know. But he, I honestly, I do think he might be. I don't know. He's definitely more like left-leaning. But besides him, though, I've never seen anyone in my family to be super into like the whole nationalism thing from like a political perspective. Now, as far as being like, you know, having, you know, pride or being patriotic, as far as being proud to be Dominican, yes, I would say that is very common among most of my family. Everyone is super proud to be Dominican, but the whole nationalism stuff, no.
Yeah, but do you see a difference between being proud, being Dominican, and being nationalistic?
Yes, I do.
Can you tell us what the difference might be?
Well, in my opinion, I see the whole nationalism thing more about wanting to maintain, I guess, Dominican sovereignty from like a political level or an economic level, but a lot of times it is kind of mixed in with like xenophobia and racism. So I don't know. I don't know. I just see them to be two different things. Now, of course, that's not to say that all nationalists are xenophobic or racist, because I don't think that they are. But I don't know. I think one is more political, where the other one is more like cultural. Like you just like being a patriotic Dominican is more about being proud of your Dominican culture, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that does make sense. Gotcha. So when you went to Dominican Republic, did you see it being rampant with Haitian immigrants? Okay,
so I'm gonna be honest, like with all this Haitian invasion stuff I've been hearing, I was expecting to see like Haitians everywhere. Now, I don't know if it's just the particular areas that I was in, but I didn't see as many as I was expecting to see. And I know some people were like, well, how do you know if they're Haitian? Like, okay, to keep it totally honest, they do kind of stand out. Okay, they do look a little different, even from your average darker skinned Dominican. So usually, not 100% of the time, but usually you can kind of spot who's Haitian. But I didn't see a whole lot. Like in my parents' town in Bonao, I didn't really see much. Now in the capital, I did see a few more. Usually you see them like, you know, walking down the street, like selling the little like, I don't know, peanuts or whatever they're selling, or like on the side of the highway. Now, as I went more west, because, you know, I went to Bani, I went to Barahona, which is more like southwest, it did seem like I saw a few more, but again, it wasn't like to the extreme that some people make it seem online.
So
I don't know if it was just...
So is it safe to say that these people who are talking about the Haitian invasion, is it safe to say that they're just full of shit?
I mean, I don't want to say that they're full of shit. I mean, again, it could be maybe there's specific areas that are being, I don't know,
No,
that there is a lot of Haitians.
No, fuck out of here.
I mean, I don't know, because I don't know. Honestly, I don't know what to think of it sometimes, because there are, actually, there was another Dominican that I talked to that said, no, actually, there is a lot of them everywhere, at least where they're at. So I don't know, but it wasn't as, at least where I was in the areas where I went,
So
it wasn't as bad as I thought.
So I'll use some confirmation bias and say that based on your experience, these people online don't know what they're talking about. So thank you for proving that.
Yeah, you don't get me in trouble.
No, let me stop. But no. So what? I saw that you did a recent video about not that recent, but like a week ago, about Shakira and J-Lo on the Super Bowl. And can you break us down on your thoughts on that video?
Okay, so to break it down, so I'm sure everyone saw the halftime show with Shakira and J-Lo, and following their performance, like, I don't know, the world lost its shit, and it was just everybody was going in on this performance, white, black, and Latino. I mean, literally everyone has something to say.
Yeah, because I read your comments.
Yeah. So you had a lot of people, particularly white people, saying that it was too sexual, that it was too much. I saw a video from this pastor, I guess, who wanted to sue. I don't know if it was for real, but talk about, my 12-year-old son had to see that and blah, blah, blah. Like, people were just losing their shit, okay?
Yeah.
And then, I did see some kind of negative comments from some black people on the other end. Some were bringing Black History Month into it, which I don't know why, because the Super Bowl is not tied to Black History Month. So I don't know if they were upset because there wasn't no black performers. I don't know. And then as far as what the Latinos had to say, I do think most Latinos were happy with it, but I did see some black Latinos online talking about, it's always the light-skinned ones performing. They're the ones always in the mainstream. They're the ones always in the limelight. Where were all the black people? But, I mean, even with that, there were actually black dancers on stage. They did actually, their backup dancers were actually pretty diverse. Now, as far as people being upset with the fact that it was J-Lo and Shakira, I mean, I get wanting to see, darker Latinos, on a show like that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, my thought was, well, who would we have even put on a show like that to where, white America would be okay watching it? I mean, they weren't okay watching these two anyways, but
yeah.
I don't think that we have any black Latin star that is at that level of fame.
Oh, Amara La Negra. No?
Yes.
Not her? No?
Well, okay, so I mentioned her in my video too because a lot of people brought her up. But the thing with Amara is she's not as I don't think she's at that level yet of fame. And I think her music holds her back. Her music just isn't that great.
She
no
is
offense to her.
talented. I'm not gonna lie. She's
super talented.
Yeah,
she can
talented.
sing. She can dance. I mean, she's
talented.
a great performer. She can put on a really good show, but just her music, I don't know what's up with her producers.
I think she needs a ghostwriter really bad. That's what I think. Because let's be honest, J-Lo never wrote none of her shit. You know, so let's keep it real. But look what that music with ghostwriters got her. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to her. But what was it? But that goes again back to my original topic, which is something really, really interesting I want to ask. Do you see Shakira and J-Lo as black Latin people?
No, they're not black. But I don't see them as white, fully white.
So they're mixed?
I think with J-Lo, she looks to me like someone who is predominantly European, but probably has other mixture in there too. And then with Shakira, she's half Colombian, half Lebanese. So, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if she had some non-white admixture from her Colombian side. I mean, look at her hair texture. I don't know. I see them as light-skinned. I mean, put it that way.
Light-skinned mixed people?
My light skin, you say light skin what?
Light-skinned mixed people?
I guess. Yeah, because, I mean, they're obviously not black, but I don't see them as full-on white either. And see, that's where I always get like, I'm kind of like, see, these racial boxes, like, where do the people who are not fully to one side or the other go? Because some people, it's hard to put them in just one box.
That's true.
And I feel like they kind of fall into that, even though they're more white leaning.
That is. Would you now let me ask you, if J-Lo comes out and says, this whole time I've been identifying as black, what would you look at her sideways?
I would. I would, because nobody's looking at her and thinking she's like a black woman. You don't look at J-Lo think black. Like, you don't.
Well, you just look at J-Lo thinking that, she's Puerto Rican, basically non-white.
Well, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, like, again, since there's no box for Latin folks, since we're not a race, would you still, knowing this that she's non-white, would you still see her sideways? Would you still look at her sideways if she said that she's black?
I'm not gonna lie, I would, cause I mean, I'm not. I try not to like police how people identify themselves, but I just feel like she's not black. Like, she may not be white, but she's not black. Like, again, nobody's looking at J-Lo and saying that's a black woman.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Like, I feel like, and then see, that's also the issue I kind of have, going back to that unpopular opinions video you mentioned, because I feel like if you're going to have all these super light or more white passing people saying that they're black, then doesn't that kind of erase the experiences that actual black people go through? Because then if you have all these white passing people identifying as black, then somebody could be like, well, hey, see, they're black, they're not experiencing what you're saying, so what you're saying must not be that valid.
Well,
so that is
the thing is, only in America we've been conditioned to saying blackness is just identify as a skin color. That's the main reason why the one drop rule was invented, because they saw some of these mixed people passing as white, and then when you actually look at their last name or some of their culture and some of the things that they do, they're like, wait a minute, you don't put mayonnaise on your mofongo, what the hell? You know what I'm saying? So that's the main reason why they did that one drop rule thing. Now, going back, if J-Lo would say that she's black, I wouldn't have an issue with that. I actually would praise it, just like when Fat Joe said that he's black. The reason is because he's saying that his race is black, not that he went through the same experience that African Americans went through. You know what I'm saying? There's a big difference.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think he was necessarily equating it to African Americans, but I mean, but he's not black. Like,
well, you can say he's not black, but even when Remy Ma was told this, she even like broke it down. Some of his experiences, some of these things that white folks treat him as, they don't treat him as a white man. He might be light skinned and all that other stuff, but looking at him, he's not. He might to anybody else, he might be white, but amongst our community. But the real community who determines everything, they don't see him as white. You know what I'm saying? They see him as an other. So at least if he's identifying as black, and some of us in our community says, well, you're really black. To me, that really doesn't validate anything. To me, I still see him as, all right, you black, shit, you just a black light-skinned person, because there's a lot of light-skinned black people out here. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's true.
So to me, that doesn't really, like, matter. You know what I'm saying? So to me, I'll be like, yeah. Shout out to you, bro. Shout out to you.
Okay.
I
mean,
even though you disagree, it's all right.
I mean, I get the point though, as far as like his experience and the dominant society not labeling him as white. I mean, I get that point of view.
Yeah.
I mean, I personally still wouldn't call him black, but I get that he's he's not white from a white American perspective.
Okay. Cool. So anything you want to leave the listeners with? Anything you want to, any affirmations? Any anything you want to leave the listeners with before we wrap it up?
Let's see. What do I want to say? Well, to all my haters out there, because I got a few, y'all can keep on hating, kiss my ass. But to everyone else, and I just want to thank the people that have been supporting me, especially those that have been listening to my channel from the jump. And I know that we have a lot of the same listeners. I think you said that earlier. So I think it's a nice little community we have going on. I know that we don't always all 100% agree on everything, but I think it's good that we can have our different perspectives and communicate them with each other and create dialogue, because like I've said on my channel, I do think a lot of things are changing among Latinos, and we're really starting to explore who we really are and how we identify and all that type of stuff. So I think it's all good conversation, and I encourage for that to continue to happen.
Well said. Now remember, guys, her YouTube channel, just give it out for the people where they can find you.
It is VivaBella by Xtina, and that is also the name of my makeup Instagram. But I also have another Instagram that is related to the stuff I post on YouTube, which is VBXtina_chats.
Yeah, so I'll link all of that, in the description down below. Remember, if you guys want to follow her, hit her up on Instagram or go on YouTube. Again, all links down below. Listen, Xtina, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for coming in.
Likewise, thank you.
Yeah, not a problem. We should definitely do this more often,
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm gonna catch everybody later. Peace.
Bye.
All right, so that was the interview with Xtina. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys learned a little bit more about her like I did. I learned a little bit more about her that I didn't know. You know what I'm saying? So remember, everything you guys want to follow her, YouTube and Instagram is going to be on link in the description down below, or in the detail tabs on the podcast. I know I got a lot of male listeners. Please be respectful. Let's not be creeps out here. You know what I'm saying? Let's be a little respectful. You know what I mean? So all that's going to be in the description down below, And also you can find me on Instagram and Twitter at the same name, radical_Latino_. And also donate to my website at, radicallatino.com. And you guys can go to donate and do it right there, And I'm going to catch you guys later. Peace.